Good evening. It is 7:10 and I hereby call to order the July 2017 meeting of the Village of Tivoli Board of Trustees. Would you please join me and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We are down Trustee Schneider and Trustee Murphy this evening, so we hope they're back next month. We will begin with the village clerk's report. Clerk Bruno, please.
So over the past month, there were 386 trash tags sold, 2 payrolls were processed, and the deputy clerk attended 1 planning board workshop. And if I could just make a general statement of thank you to the treasurer, because we did have some computer issues and she's a fixer. So Bonnie Day was high on my list yesterday and today.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bonnie. We'll make sure that's in the minutes. That's it?
That is it. Unless, were you or Emily going to talk about the upcoming events with yard sale day and community day?
Yes. So we'll get to that.
Okay.
Thank you, Clerk Bruno. Trustees, the next thing is to approve minutes from the previous meeting. We have 1 set of minutes from the June 21st regular board meeting. You've had a chance to look these over. And at this time, I ask, is there a motion to approve the June 21st regular meeting minutes?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the treasurer's report for the month of July. Out of the general fund, we spent $73,577.29. Out of the water fund, $13,555.42. Out of the sewer fund, $12,432.61. And out of the expendable trust, $54.72. For a grand total of $99,620.04. Is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? It's always good to pay the bills. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to a zoning report, please, Trustee Israeli.
This month, our code enforcement officer, John Fenton, reviewed and issued 2 building permits, issued 9 zoning violations, made 6 field inspections for building permits, received 4 complaints about potential zoning violations, and is in the process of taking demolition action on 2 unsafe properties, which the board is in the process of further reviewing.
Thank you, Trustee Israeli. And to remind residents, Mr. Fenton has office hours here Wednesdays and Fridays afternoon, and those hours, his email, his phone number, you can all find on the village website, so do contact him if you have any reason to. We have only 2 items of regular business tonight on the agenda. First is to authorize an agreement with ESO Solutions that offers some software to be used by the ambulance. It allows people to complete a patient care report, and rather than actually typing it up, it's a series of menus on a computer tablet, and then it can just get electronically sent ahead to the hospital or transferred between agencies. Often, Tivoli would be supporting another municipality's ambulance, vice versa, and it's a lot of the other rescue squads, including NDP, are already using this same software. And the second item is to approve a grant application for a CFA grant to carry out the stabilization of our shoreline at our waterfront property. We are going to apply for $458, I believe, $1,000, $458,000, of which Tivoli has to do 25% match of $114,500. Normally historically that grant has been a 50% match, and they've just changed it to 25/75, so better leverage if we're so lucky. So those are our 2 items, and at this time I would invite public comment on those 2 agenda items before we move into business.
Okay.
Yes,
Would that include in-kind service for the 100,000?
for the match? Yes, it can.
Yeah.
Yep. So for example, on the previous CFA, which we did win, which was $50,000 to design a stable shoreline, we were able to count all those hours that those RPI students did for us, for example. So
Get them again.
get them back, yeah. I think they're all in grad school now, we have to track them down. Okay, so any other comments before we move into regular business? All right. Resolution authorizing an agreement with ESO Solutions Incorporated for interoperability software for the Tivoli Fire Department Emergency Services. We had a presentation in our workshop from Cheryl Hildenbrandt to show us the details of what this is, how it works. I think the board understands the great advantages of having this software for our rescue squads. So with that said, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And we'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Ezrati,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Major,
Aye.
and I also vote aye.
And I would just say that Cheryl Hildebrand came in and spoke to us about this. She had done significant research with other providers of EMS services. She's tried the software. She's sussed out what kind of a platform she has to use it on, and how to, she's asked questions about how the data is saved. I felt like she did a thorough job of it. And she looked at alternative providers, and this was clearly the one that was most used by others, and the superior software.
I did attend a workshop about a month ago with Cheryl where the vendor was showing all the features, and it was certainly superior, far superior to having to type things out. Everything, blood pressure, pulse, everything, just boop, 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 and then it gets shot off electronically. So, okay, moving on to the next item. Resolution authorizing grant application for waterfront stabilization project. This is called part of the consolidated funding application grant, which comes around every July. We did win one to design a stable shoreline, and now we're hoping that they will give us funds to help actually carry it out. As you know, the village bought about 2.8 acres down there, and we're having serious erosion, and so we need to protect our asset there. So that's something that the Tivoli Waterfront Committee has worked on for a long time, as well as our engineer Crawford and Associates, and we would like to submit this application. Is there a motion to resolve to authorize the grant application?
Yes, I move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
This will be really exciting. The other night I was down at the river, and there were so many people down there, and it rained, the rain stopped, and people just sort of came out in droves to watch the sunset, and it's such a great space, and every boat that goes by takes part of the shore, and every winter the ice takes part of the shore, so it would be great to hang on to it.
In order to get a design that was even worthy of submitting to this application, we had to meet with DEC, and there was a lot of discussion back and forth. We showed it to Army Corps of Engineers, discussion about habitat, hard shoreline. If you think of the Rhinecliff spot there by the train station, you've got like hard shielding that is not conducive to habitat. There are other models where you have large riprap, large stone, but then there are plantings in between to hold the sediment and to create habitat. And so our design is much more towards that latter design. The DEC is very strict about any sort of fill. that could disrupt habitat. And as you all know, I think we are gonna have to have a pedestrian overpass, and particularly where that overpass lands, there may have to be more significant stabilization of the shoreline so that the foundation of that overpass is adequately protected. So I think there's a place where some kind of hybrid of the hard and soft is being proposed. So with that said, we've moved. We'll do a roll call vote.
And I just would like to add, my reaction to this is, we can think of this as the beginning of our waterfront park, but it's also mostly about maintaining land there. And I think regardless of what the future is, this step is absolutely essential. So I had no trouble backing it up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trustee Israedi. Voting now, Deputy Mayor Major.
Aye.
Trustee Israedi.
I
I also vote aye. Good luck to you. The next board meeting will be held Wednesday, August 16th, 2017 at 7 p.m., preceded by a workshop at 6 p.m. here at the historic West-Peister Hall. There'll be a regular board workshop August 9th at 7 p.m. in the mayor's office. Moving on to committee reports. Trustee Israedi, please.
Well, I'm going to give the water report, and that is that we didn't use the ball lot well at all this month. We used the McKnight well at about 10 to 12,000 gallons daily. The 2PW was pumping about 12,000 gallons for all of 6 days during the month of June. The 5PW filled in on those days that 2PW was not pumping with about 10,000 gallons a day, and the 4PE and 10PE were pumping at a really significant level of close to 17,000 gallons per day. And the Woodmark well was pumping between 24 and 25,000 gallons a day, and as a consequence, the water tower was up to the 167 to 169 foot level that we would expect. And this is the exciting part, because we do have a record of the rainfall during the month of June, and we always do it a little. So
Closest without going on.
Just to make your guess look good.
Yeah.
Month of June,
mm-hmm.
6 inches.
I'm gonna say 7.2.
4.4.
Oh.
So, but in the month of May, it was 6.7. So if you feel waterlogged, these are significantly above normal monthly rainfall. And there was one water break on North Road at 37 on the 14th of June.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Israedi. Trustee Schneider is not here. I will read the Tivoli Village Court Charge Volume Summary Report. Charges from June 1st to 30th, 2017. Charges received totaling 8. Charges disposed totaling 20. Total money collected and remitted to the State Comptroller in fines $760. Surcharges $479 for a total of $1,239. And just looking through the tickets that were disposed, we've got unreasonable noise, taillights, stop sign, several no overnight parking, a no parking, a portion of a DWI, and
Portion of the DWI?
I think we get some and the state gets the rest or something. Yeah, you see it says partial there.
Huh. Oh, good.
$200. And taillights, so. Moving on, let's see. Well, Trustee Murphy is not here, so I will try and do this. We are very, very excited that we are bringing back the Tivoli Recreation Camp this summer. I'll speak for myself. I was nervous last year when we said, let's take a summer off so we can sort of regroup and come back and do it better. You know, I was worried about losing momentum, but maybe it's good he's not here. That guy has worked his tail off to get this stuff done. It's really remarkable. And we are still taking applications until Friday. So I don't know when this airs, but We can still have kids sign up. It's 5 to 14, ages 5 to 14. We're doing 2 weeks, the week of August 7th and the following week, half days, 9 to noon. We have 20, I think a total of 26 children signed up so far, and I hope we get a couple more.
They're
And
talking about all kinds of fun things,
Yes.
including baking cupcakes at the bakery.
a lot of local field trips is kind of the
Yeah.
emphasis.
Yeah, so the emphasis is on getting to know Tivoli.
I learned today they're going to be taken over to Kotzbahn where they can see a ballet performance and speak with the dancers. That just confirmed today, so thanks to our friends at Kotzbahn. And similar things. So
Fantastic.
cupcakes and Kotzbahn should be fun for the kids.
And what really impressed me was that Chris has gone through all of the regulations for what a municipality has to do to properly run a camp, and he's getting letters that children are being vaccinated, and we've got a health person assigned.
Cheryl Hilbrand.
We're really doing,
Safety plan.
yeah, we're doing it. It's a binder this thick for the process.
Yeah. So,
I have one other thing that
Yes.
I wanted to add. The street painting festival this year, we're getting close. I think we may be within one board meeting of it. It'll be on the 23rd of September, so we're starting a week earlier than we usually do. The reason is we're trying to get ahead of the hurricane schedule so that hopefully we'll have a sunny day on the first day that we plan. We've already taken a number of actions. Joe Tobin is going to be actively soliciting music that is written locally. You will see window signs going up shortly to be a call for local musicians and local writers of music. We have updated our map to properly identify buildings because we've had changes of names of a lot of things around here, so we're going to do that correctly. We are still in the process of figuring out, hopefully we'll get this done, a registration process where people can go online, look at the map, identify the square they want, and reserve it. So that's the innovation that's happening this year.
in the 17th year, we get
Yes.
to that.
So,
Here's for some good weather on the 23rd of September.
okay, yeah.
Deputy Mayor Manger, please.
Okay, well, fun things at the library. Tuesdays are action-packed. There are two Tuesday programs now. One is called Create Tuesdays, and that's at 11:30 in the East Room. Arts and crafts projects for 5 to 10-year-olds. And I believe that started yesterday. Then later is Tuesday, that's Tunesday, 4 p.m., and it's a musical jam session for 10 to 17-year-olds. Bring your own instruments. Other events, there's a Mad Science event on Monday, July 24th at 1 p.m. on the 3rd floor, and it's billed as Fire and Ice, and there's going to be combustion and dry ice as well. What could go wrong? Dungeons and Dragons Fridays continues at 4 to 6:30, and today there were owls up on the 3rd floor, live owls. So thank you, library.
On purpose. They
On
were-
purpose,
yeah.
no, for real, as opposed to the Starlings
Right.
in the front of me. Anyway, also, the library still has a free pass to Alana, so you can go and you can check out a pass for 4 people. You can go up to Frederick Church's home and take a tour, check out the view. Let's see what else. There are 2 really cool events at Claremont. One is it's called Votes for Women, celebrating New York's suffrage centennial, and this runs through the 28th. Wednesday, the 28th, and it's free. It's at the Visitor Center, and it talks about the New York State leaders of the women's women's rights and feminist movement throughout, up until the 21st century. So that's pretty neat. And then there's a program on Saturday, July 29th at 3 p.m., which is, it's a one-man show about the life and legacy of Frederick Douglass. And he was a former slave, an abolitionist, an orator, and so it's called the Stormy Road to Freedom, and that's going to be outdoors at $8 for adults, and kids under 12 are free. And in terms of the environment, let's talk about the anchorages.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Very cool. So
It shows that people matter.
people matter. The Coast Guard got a whole lot of letters.
So yeah,
10,000
10,000 letters. And so, the process has been, halted. And what the Coast Guard is doing is called a PAWSA, P-A-W-S-A. It's a Ports and Waterways Safety Assessment. And this is something that they're meant to do on all of their ports and waterways every 5 years or so. And I guess, I'm not sure if it was due now, but they're doing one. So, what it means is that different stakeholders are invited. Well, you have to apply. So there will be shipping industry representatives and environmental representatives and the 7 communities that get their drinking water from the river hopefully will be accepted to be there. And what they're planning is a weekend, or I'm sorry, like a 2-day workshop where there's 4 steps. The first is to identify what the waterway safety hazards are, and so why did the Maritime Association ask for these anchorages in the first place, right? So what is what's the reason for that? And then the next step is to estimate the risk levels of that, and then evaluate ways to mitigate the risks. And so, for example, anchorages are the way to mitigate the risk, right? And then the next step would be to say, well, what are the impacts of mitigating these risks? So it's basically having all these different groups sit down and really look at what's going on and how to.
So that means that this is still an open issue? These 92 anchorages or whatever the number was?
I think it was
43.
43,
yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean it hasn't ground to a halt forever, but it could be that in sitting down and saying, well, what are the waterway risks that
It's
would
the idea
make
of
you
shedding
ask?
light.
Shedding light, and also
Yeah.
it could be that in saying, well, we just want these anchorages because we want these anchorages, they could stop there, right?
Yeah,
And
right.
the Coast Guard could say, well, that's not good enough. Done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So we're at a good point, for
Yeah.
right this minute.
So the public hearing process was useful.
Yes, so
And,
that's just where it's at for now.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
And in other environmental news, the canoe launch in Tivoli Bays is still closed.
The which?
The canoe launch off Kid Lane. So,
Closed for repairs or damaged in a storm?
I believe closed for repairs. Yeah, the DEC website just says it's closed until further notice.
All right.
Okay.
So you can still get in there, but it's not. Be prepared to slip and slide a little, and don't go low tide.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Major. I just want to give a little update from the Green Committee, who has spent the last many months looking into something many communities are doing and have done, which is buying the streetlights from Central Hudson, having control of what kind of fixtures are up there, and reducing costs. And sometimes municipalities go in together and buy streetlights all together to further reduce costs. Kingston has done this. Rosendale and New Paltz are at some point. Town of Red Hook has been looking at this very closely, and Tivoli has sort of started and is getting caught up. But if you didn't know, after the fire department, the next 2 most costly services in the village are police and streetlights. Streetlights are about $27,000 a year just for the electricity. So by switching some of these old fixtures to LEDs, you can drop that cost tremendously.
Significantly.
Yeah.
It's like to a fifth of it or
Yeah.
something. I mean, it's really significant.
So the first step was to conduct an audit, and there was a company that we used called Computel who will look at your bills from Central Hudson and go physically out and look at all the utility poles and make sure that you're being billed at the right rates for the right kinds of bulbs. You'll notice we've got a couple different, there's sort of the whitish ones, the yellowish ones, and make sure that that's all accurate. Generally, that they find when they do this audit for a community that the community was perhaps being overbilled, and they can get a refund, and then they would be paid 40% of that refund. I'm sorry for them that that didn't happen when they did Tivoli. It turned out that we had about 5 lights that we had never been paying for. So we had a good run, but now we've told Central Hudson, and now our bill will be correct. But also by having a correct inventory, you know exactly what you might need to buy from Central Hudson if you decide to own your own streetlights and control the kinds of fixtures, their electrical use, and have better control of your own costs. So I want to thank the Green Committee for working on that, and I should have more information in the coming weeks and months about that. And also, yes, 2 banger events back to back. Tivoli Yard Sale Day, Saturday the 29th, 9 a.m. Are we still taking any registrations?
Friday.
Till Friday. So
To make the map.
to make the map. Yes. You all know about Yard Sale Day. You know how it goes, and you know, we hope we have good weather, because the following Saturday, August 5th, is Tivoli Community Day already again. It is a day of family fun, food, games, music. If you've been the last 2 years, it's a small, intimate, fun time when everyone can get together, see their neighbors. I hope it's a little less hot than last year. But we run games for the kids, sack races, 3-legged race, tug of war, throw water balloons at the mayor is always a popular one. Sometimes the supervisor, when we can get him over here.
Oh, yeah.
There will be food available for purchase by the Masons. I think there'll be some offering from the Tivoli Fire Department and the American Legion. I think they'll be doing watermelon and various other booths and information. We've got all our old historic photos, which I've been mounting over the last few years. We'll have those pinned up around the pavilion. And the musical acts are the Four Fathers, which we had last year. And for anyone who attended the talent show this year, you may remember, I think it's James Hearn. John Hearn. Is it James or John?
It's James.
Sorry, James. Okay. Mr. Hearn is coming back to Tivoli, and he was really a standout act at the talent show. And he had a great time, so he's coming back to play. And at 4:45, we line up for the community photograph, so that hopefully we can take it by 5. Doesn't need to take 15 minutes to get everybody in the picture, but it somehow always does. So that's a wonderful part of the day and the year for me. And we've got both the last 2 years framed and on display downstairs in the hallway. So you know, if you're going to stop by, make sure you're there to be in the photograph too.
I think one of the best parts was playing with the Jaws of Life, though. The fire department had a Saturn that we were able to tear apart with the Jaws of Life. And it was a little hot to be wearing a
It was a
turnout
little hot
gear,
to-
but
Yeah.
we had some fun.
It was very fun. Unfortunately, they're not going to do that this year. Yeah. So.
I'm sure it'll be
hopefully
fun
next year.
anyway.
Yes. Yes. Every other year might be enough. That's heavy equipment. That's really heavy. So Tivoli Day, August 5th, and also while there is some food for sale, everyone's encouraged to bring desserts and salads, because those will not be on offer from other vendors. So
That's potluck.
potluck.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Fun for kids, so please come on the 5th. And I'll just give a couple updates on Pine Street construction is actually right on schedule. They've really been moving along, and it's supposed to be finished by the end of this month. You'll see they've relocated the hydrant, the lamp posts. They did have to take down several trees, but the tree committee is eagerly awaiting planned trees, and sort of whatever trees show up there. As soon as the construction is finished, we'll also be painting those crosswalks over by the park once all the construction is done and the dust and the trucks and whatnot. So sorry for the disruption on Pine Street, but it's going to be very nice, and again, the buses will be off the road. There's going to be a new shelter, benches, garbage recycling cans, and looking forward to that being finished. And also today, for the first time in 40 plus years, there are no backboards at the Tivoli basketball court. So we took them down today because we are installing brand new ones next week. These are full-size, 6-foot glass. They have a 5-foot distance between the backboard and the pole. I know from my own youth, running around those poles and trying to play basketball was always a little, well, we call it Tivoli ball. It was different than other courts. So I was able to talk to a lot of our young ballers over there and let them know. So it's probably going to be a week to 10 days without any basketball there. But then we'll leave those up for, another 40 years. I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be nice. And also our DPW has been steadily working on redoing all the mulch beds underneath the playground equipment. The rain has made that very difficult this year, but they've got 2 of them done and 1 to go. So we expect to have that certainly ready for Community Day and the rec program. So those are my updates, and we would now like to open the floor to public comments.
I'd just like to comment that if you haven't
You go
been
first.
over to Pine Street to look at the beautiful granite curbs that are going in, they're stunning. So,
There's some really nice rocks.
Mr. Cleveland.
Is the fire plug hooked up? Because the community garden's gonna be in need of some water. We've had a lot of rain, but there's no water in that tank.
We'll get it filled. I believe it is.
Is it hooked up
It
before?
is hooked up again, yeah.
While I'm on the streets, the yellow zone at Farrow Avenue,
Okay.
had 2 cars in it today, and there was a
Huge
grease truck, picks up grease,
cooking grease.
cooking oil, that type of stuff. Could not make it in there. He made 3 attempts. He came down this way, he couldn't make it. He came down here and turned around here, he went back up, he couldn't get in. And he finally stopped in front of my house. I said, you gotta back in that driveway across the street. But there's 2 cars were in the way. That truck was probably
That size of a
equal
fire
to the fire truck in size. It could not make it. So if we had a fire down there today, it would have been 15, 20 minutes to get down that roadway.
It's always very difficult to enforce those yellow curves, Dave.
Hmm?
It's always very difficult to enforce those yellow curves.
I know that.
Yeah.
thank you for ringing the
Yeah,
doorbell.
one other thing that I'll go about my way. I've noticed a large increase of dogs in the village
walking dog.
walking, not loose, on leashes.
On leash.
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked up the section 80 of our code concerning animals, and dogs and cats. I don't know if there's any other animal. The owner is not permitted to let them urinate on people's lawns, hedges, or even actually on public or private property. And do I have to go to the
Game warden?
town dog control to alleviate this, or what do I have to do?
I mean, do you see the same person walking
Oh
their
yeah,
dog?
it's
I mean,
every
probably,
night. It's just
I would imagine the easiest way to go would be for someone to speak to the owner and let
I
them
know
know that.
there's starting to be some people that probably don't like me, but that's beside the point.
Well, if you want to let me know
My-
who you're
my-
seeing, I
My
can,
yard
I
is
will
not
speak to them
a
as well.
dog park.
of course.
I've been working on those hedges for 40-some years, and I'll tell you what, it burns the leaves off, and
The side one too.
it's the lawn. It's disgusting.
And
It's-
you've-
smells.
You've pointed it out to them.
Well, one person stopped coming, so
Well, that's
maybe it's working. Liquid fence helps a little bit,
It's like
Did you try it?
yeah.
Good. It's working.
But we've had so much rain. It just you spray one day and the rain washes it off that night.
Well, the deer were getting our new plantings in front of this building until I started using that. And
We have deer in our
they're
driveway.
coming right back. And I've probably only done it once a week despite the rain, but that stuff works.
I keep chasing her into the backyard from the front. She just looks at me like, what? I said, turn around, go that way.
Dave, if there's someone walking a dog and it's a regular person and you want me to speak with them, I'm happy to do it.
Should I take pictures of them?
No.
Well, you just come tell me
So
who
we
it is.
know, I don't see, that's some of these people I don't know.
Right.
I
Well,
mean, we got a lot of,
And they're not anyways. So.
renters or whoever in town, but I mean, it's not just, I'm concerned about my yard, but I see it across the street, it's just out of control.
It's public.
It's like,
Bathroom there.
you know, it's like a dog park all around town. No need a dog park.
there's been some talk of a dog park, trying to find a place and do it. I mean, I think that would be nice, but I think people probably walk their dogs to the dog park. We'll see. Other
There's one in
comments?
Germantown.
Yeah,
Take them up there. That's it.
Mr. Du Bois?
Montgomery Street, speeding on Montgomery Street. What can we do?
Have a yard sale there.
We can continue to put police there and tell them to do it, and I've had some luck getting the county to pay for some of those patrols because, of course, that added traffic is from the detour for their project, so I will contact them again and try and get them to do that.
Question for you on that. Was it be able to, for the temporary time, I know it's kind of late now, because I don't know how far they are on the bridge, but to reduce it to 25, get an emergency while the construction's going on, just for the months of the construction?
To lower the speed limit?
Lower the speed limit to 20, at least 25.
Yeah, again, I mean, I did give you the name of the commissioner of the DPW, right, at the county?
Yeah.
I mean, I really think it's an issue for him. I'm happy to support you if you want to take that up with him, but.
But do you have to go through the state to get it down?
The county, right?
Well, the county is the county, but the state controls your V&T stuff.
Right. So the village can do, reduce the speed limit below 30 in a linear thing, but I think it's,
To process.
I don't know that we can get that done before that bridge is finished.
Yeah, that's a public hearing process.
Yeah. Yeah, to
When's-
pass along. I mean, incidentally, and I said it at the State of the Village, I'd like to start trying to, if we can identify, and you can't just say we want to lower it because we want to lower it. You have to have it studied and say, okay, this actually ought to be lowered. I want to lower the speed limit to 25 on Montgomery Street. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I'm actually having it studied. It's not going to happen before the bridge is done, but I
Yeah.
think it could happen this year if
Yeah.
our experts do in fact create enough evidence that, find enough evidence and make an argument that it should be 25. And,
Yeah.
and at some point, we may be coming for letters of support from residents there.
No problem
To
there.
support that, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'm sorry about the speeding. It's a chronic problem. Someone just took out that utility pole across the street and they weren't going 10 miles an hour.
Well, if you're up early, I would say between 20 after 6 in the morning to 20 after 7, there is a budget rental truck that can do between 35 and 50 that flies through there like a speed demon. And there's another truck, there's two of them in the morning that's very early. And they just
Post
pound
office.
right through.
Well,
And there are a few other
knowing the time
people.
is helpful for me to let the,
And I don't know who they're delivering to up here.
Post office,
Well, one's a
probably.
post office, I think.
Because we do have the mail truck, but we do have the one that says budget on it, and
Yeah.
then there's another truck. And it's like an enterprise truck or something, and they're
That's a-
pretty good sized box, they're not the short, but a little bit longer box trucks. And I don't know who they come up to, but every morning between that time, sometimes they come through at 20 after 6, sometimes it's 6:30, sometimes it's 7, quarter after 7. It depends upon however they're delivering or whatever they're doing, but they come flying through like speed demons, and a lot of other people do in the early morning and some evenings. And do you have anything in place for yard sale day? Because even unless, it's not this, detour, But basically on a yard sale day, a lot of people that come through, I would say from maybe 9 to 11 in the morning. I mean, the road is just packed full of people just on a basic day, basic
Right.
Saturday yard sale day. So having, you know.
Yeah, I've actually
the
scheduled
detour.
a pair of deputies for yard sale day,
Mhm,
and they may
yeah.
also be out on their bikes as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
because,
they're to discourage parking, right?
Parking and anything else they see, you know. But again, you know, with that much more traffic on Montgomery Street, it's not your typical yard sale day this year. So yes,
Mhm.
we're aware and prepared.
And we have encouraged people on Montgomery Street who normally have their yard sales there to come over to the,
yeah, I would ban,
Village
I personally would ban
location.
any yard sales on Montgomery Street because I mean, you just pull out of the driveway and you have a car right on top of you. I
Yeah,
mean,
we've
it's just.
been encouraging Montgomery Street folks to share it to neighbors on elsewhere in the village or come here to
Yeah.
Village Hall or, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think it's gonna be good, really. I have one other question. Who runs like the garden programs or the plant programs here?
You don't mean the community garden?
Yeah, the community
Garden
garden.
stuff here, or you do mean the
For
community garden?
here, our community garden, who runs?
Currently, it's Trustee Murphy is the garden director, the gentleman who's not here tonight, who's doing the rec program. There's an email address you can write to, Tivoli Community Garden at Gmail,
Okay,
or you know, just call and leave a message with the clerk, and she can put you in touch. Are you interested in a plot, or you had other?
I know a gentleman that has a biodiversity farm that gives tours on it, and he's the Hudson Valley Rain Barrel guy, and he would
Uh-huh.
love to come and talk and speak to the public.
Oh, I think the garden group would really enjoy that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
something different, so, I met him and he explained what he does, and I believe he's been here before in the past, so I thought maybe I could contact someone and make a suggestion.
Yeah, and that if it's like a guest speaker, I would even say to refer it to the Green Committee. I mean, if you want to give me a call, give me his information, or make an introduction, you know, we could invite him in for a talk because
Okay.
the Green Committee would enjoy that, and then we can open it up to
Mhm.
anybody.
Really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that sounds great.
Now, you were talking about a street light.
So the idea would be that at some point the village buys the street lights on the top of those poles from Central Hudson, and then we own them, and then we can decide
Okay.
what they're going to be.
Can you legally purchase a street light and not have to go through Central Hudson?
Probably not.
Well, they're currently owned by Central Hudson, so
The
you need
poles.
the poles, yeah, and some of the fixtures.
Right, but I mean, they own the poles, so the village is only talking about purchasing the fixtures and the arms.
They have to install that, Central Hudson?
Well, they
So
own
you're under
them
the
now, so
mandate
they.
to use Central Hudson to get a street light, in other words?
Currently.
No, not to, if they were gonna do a swap,
If
they
we get
could
swap.
procure their own, but the light pole is still owned by Central Hudson, so they'd have to rent their pole essentially.
You have to
Put the arm
rent the
on there.
pole and the,
Right,
yeah.
right.
But you can save the cost on purchasing your own street light.
They can buy a streetlight using a joint procurement, that's what the mayor was talking about. There are a number of communities looking at a joint procurement of those fixtures and lights, yeah.
So, for example, we would probably go in with the town of Red Hook, possibly the village of Red Hook. The three of us all go to a vendor of street light fixtures and say, we're ready to make a big purchase, give us a deal. And also the ones we buy could use less energy and less electricity,
Yeah,
resulting in lower costs. Because some of these fixtures are pretty old and they're not as efficient as the technology available today.
and among the issues that we've been considering is obviously using an LED structure, a fixture that would be much more cost effective, but also the color of the light, what it is on a Kelvin scale, and the amount of glare, the wattage, because we do want to retain the light quality that we have in the village and not, we don't want it to become a shopping center type lighting.
Which is not.
Do you have to mount that light as high as it is on that pole, or can that come down at all?
That I don't know. I don't know.
Because that would I mean, there's so much light that goes from that light. I mean, if you look at the the range, that if you could focus the light down, I know when we were on the streetscapes, we were looking at replacement lights for Broadway.
Mhm.
And you can focus the light down on the street, and not make it so.
Right, and there's different like lighting needs
Might
in
need
different
more.
places, right? The
Right.
studies show that like, you know, you want intersections to be brightly lit, but you know,
I also think it's better environmentally for the animals, nocturnal animals, and to not have all that bright light that villages and shopping malls and all, give off.
Those are concerns.
you know, for
Yeah, we
sure.
talked about, I mean, there are other consultants who would come in and, go around Tivoli and say, you know what, you actually need a light here, you don't need a light here. It would sort of design it
So they could cut down on some of
and
the
possibly
lighting.
have more sensible lighting where it's needed or not needed than, what we've inherited from the past. That, I don't know that they were as careful about those sorts of concerns.
Light.
Yes.
How we should consider going solar with those lights,
If you could.
if you can.
You mean going off
Getting
the
off
grid
grid.
altogether?
Yeah, yeah, and going solar. I mean, just to look into it,
Mm-hmm.
if you're talking about saving money,
Right.
Rent before you buy, or check out what they have to offer.
Yeah, I've seen those in some places where they have, 6-foot solar panel on every pole. I'm not sure that would look great in downtown Tivoli, but maybe in some places where people are just driving by in their cars, it's not in front of some historic building or
So
something.
put one of those pine trees on top of it.
Well, no, no.
What you do with cell phone.
Not that the light pole looks pretty either.
Bunch of sequoias.
But it's,
No, we'll look into it, and, when we move, as we get further down the road on this, obviously we'll be talking, broadly to the public
Public
about,
hearing, yeah.
what should these fixtures look like, and,
yeah,
what kind of lighting do we want to have? Yes, Louise?
You spoke about the waterfront, and of course, in the plan for the waterfront, I would believe that you have accessibility for the handicap and an area for the handicap to
Absolutely.
be able to
Yep.
do everything.
Yeah, that's,
That's required.
So in that consideration about the handicap there, my question also is taking in consideration handicap, we do not really have a sign by the post office for handicap parking.
that's a good point.
And there is not an accessibility area for a handicapped person if they're on a wheelchair or something like that.
Don't they have one inside, don't they have one inside the parking lot?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Now, is that
They-
privately
they
owned,
might-
that it's up to them?
Well, this,
Well, I don't go in that way, so
I thought they.
there may be one that I've never seen.
Those
But
spots
yeah,
are
I mean, people can
designated.
access, let me look into it, find out. Yeah, I would imagine as a federal facility, they must have a handicap.
I didn't see anything there. All those signs say for the parking for the employees.
There's no parking in there except for employee parking. I think that's what the sign says.
Yeah,
Well, take a look.
They could make a handicap spot there.
They should have one parking space or 2 parking spaces for handicapped people.
Of course, yeah.
okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's get to the real question here.
All right.
The sewer and water. When are we going to have a meeting or what's going on?
Right.
And-
So, we had, just to sort of get everyone up to speed, we've had 2 meetings now with the engineer who did the big study and the executive director of the Water Authority come. Attendance was perhaps not stellar at those meetings, but I think for the people who came, it was very interesting and important, and I again want to thank them for coming. And if you missed both those meetings, you can still watch a recording of one and hear the entire presentation, because both nights it was the same slideshow, the same information. You can watch it on Panda. Just go to their website and you'll find it there. There's also a link to it at the top of the village website. What's next? Well, we've been talking about trying to have a couple more meetings where, we're not going to keep asking those ladies to come back and talk, but just for us, for the residents, to get in a room and talk about it. So I'm planning to schedule one in August, and I would imagine one in September. We may invite other guests to that. I can't speak yet because I haven't invited them, but, you know, perhaps a community that is doing it themselves, keeping it, doing their own thing, and perhaps a community that is already with the Water Authority. So, you know, I hope that people will come to all of these and experience the full conversation. And so I guess the answer to your question is for the next few months, we're gonna be talking about it. And you know, I will let you know when they are, and I hope that you will help me get more of the 1,100 people who live in this village to come to these things.
I just talked to my neighbor today.
Yeah.
They didn't realize what was going on.
Right. Well, you know, the advantage in Tivoli is we can actually just talk to people. Every person on the street, do you know what's going on? Are you following this? Because, you know, we've advertised it on social media. I've had it as an alert on the webpage for 5 months now, my state of the village, you know, every which way. But still, people are busy and they don't catch wind of it. So thank you for doing that. And, you know, we're going to have to keep doing that. But I expect there to be one end of August would be the next one.
Okay. Next question on the same topic. Would you be willing to get a grant going to get at least the water tower replacement going? And the reason why I'm saying this is because there's time is of the essence to get the grant stuff in, because you only have so much time when the governor feels like giving out some money. And you have deadlines to get the stuff in. And before that money goes away, it would be a good idea to get on it as fast as you can.
Right.
Because you're gonna lose that window of opportunity, which you don't wanna do.
Right. One thing we have done, and I take your point, and you're absolutely right, is we updated the village's listings on the state revolving clean water and drinking water. Right.
IUP.
EFCV.
Intended use
I've had too many acronyms
Intended
today.
use permit.
Yeah, that.
Patient care report, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we have an IUP, an intended use plan, which you have to update on a regular basis. And that is one of the first steps towards that grant, and for zero interest loans or low interest
Because we
loans.
had one filed from 2009, I can't remember if it
Yeah.
was water or sewer, and then
We
we didn't have
did it.
anything filed for the other one. And so we
Yeah.
got those updated, last fall?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so we have one for the sewer wastewater system and one for the water system.
But we'll have to look to see when the, you know, grants are announced, what their schedules are, what the calendars are, and, you know, which ones are applicable to water
Okay.
sewer. But I did attend a meeting hosted by Senator Serino in LaGrange about 6 weeks ago with a lot of the municipalities from Dutchess County about like the next round of funding. So I'm watching it.
Yeah, it's,
And we did talk very carefully with the Dutchess County Wastewater Authority, Water and Wastewater Authority, and they are eligible to apply for grants on behalf of this system. So even if they took it over, it wouldn't necessarily mean that they would only bond for it. There's a possibility that they would apply for grants as well.
I think we need to get somebody locally to apply for the grant if you need help. You know,
We hear you.
freebie people, you know, where they're not charging you. And I think we can find somebody out there that's willing to write a grant or help write a grant.
Or work with
Pardon me?
the village, writing it.
Yeah, right, exactly, you know, so I'm sure there's people out there that's willing to help out somewhere along the line,
Right.
you know, so I think there's a lot of the village residents would like to do things, but maybe they need a little help to get them started to go,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know.
Well, I hope we can get more people to come to, you know, say the next forum that we have on this, because I would like to think that about this community, and I think they're out there, but, you know, when I
Yeah.
spent months and months, blowing my mouth and talking this up, and then 29 people come to a meeting, I do not feel encouraged that there are people out there. It
Yeah.
does, I do come away thinking,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
You know, it surprised me that none of the local businesses were there, and they are probably the largest users of our water.
Yeah, I agree with you, Karen. I mean, they have been evening meetings, so maybe, you know, they don't, people are cooking and waiting and working at that hour,
Yeah.
but they've known about it, and I've talked to them, and I just think, you know, you should care about this
More than
as
anyone.
much as anybody. You've got guests in your restaurant, and whoops, water main. You know, I totally agree with you, and I don't, there was one business that has sent a representative to both presentations, but they've been underrepresented, the business community.
Good.
Maybe they feel they can pass that on to their customers, and we're landowners or whatever, we're gonna suck that up. And they're gonna pass it along,
And landlords.
and maybe they're not too concerned about it. I know they
Yeah, but it's not
complain
just
about the
cost,
water,
it's reliability. I mean, maybe they're thinking they're gonna pass on the cost, but, you know, if the water's not reliable and they've got a packed house on a Saturday night, they should be really concerned.
Well-
And they can't pass that on to someone. Someone's gotta get a new main in front
but
of
plus
their
a lot of
business.
them don't live here, so
That's true too, yeah.
I
Well,
think
they
what
gotta
it
be
comes down
concerned.
to is this is, you know, the biggest decision that Tivoli's had to make, you know, in 80 years. And we need to get as many people involved in the conversation as possible.
Literally since 1938.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge.
There's one of the things I like to bring up, you got a few options. One is put your own septic and drill your own well, every resident. They turn around and put this system in to do away with that and to make it more healthier for us, okay? Number two, well, I shouldn't maybe say that, but you have the Hudson River. Nobody has ever considered using that for drinking
In Tivoli.
in Tivoli, that I know
Mm-hmm.
of. I never heard anybody speaking about it except myself. You will never ever run out of water. You have your own land where you can go on to. And if, I don't know how many people here eat down at Rhinebeck, that's Hudson River water.
It is, yeah.
So,
One of the things though, I've heard a lot of people talk about alternative sources of water, but Tivoli has good wells, very good wells.
doesn't matter.
It's the
The
distribution
problem is,
system.
excuse me, wait a minute. I gotta go back a little bit in history. Tivoli had problems many years ago, back
Yes,
into the 60s,
yes.
okay? And they had the fire truck. That fire truck doesn't even exist here in this village anymore. They're right down to the mill dam where the bridge is being taken out. They pumped the water out of the creek through the Board of Health, Dutchess County Board of Health, brought chlorine. They had to use the chlorine to get it back into the system. And they've done that for quite a few times. Last time, before you probably were here in the village, they were pumping out just above the sewer plant to feed the system,
Right.
okay? So with the water, the village wells, they can run dry. They can run dry. You never put your eggs all in one basket. But you got a big water supply down there that will take care of your large fires, which was talked about at the meeting. You have like the Four Corners, Tom Christie was talking about that coming up. You'll drain that you'll drain the water tower in how many minutes? But if you turn around and put a secondary system where you can even use that for well, it doesn't have to be just backup, but backup, say start it with a backup, you still use your wells. You'll have all the water that you ever want in this village.
Yeah, I mean, right now supply, because in the late 90s, early 2000s, under Molinaro, they found 2 more wells,
Mm-hmm.
which are over across 9G, out
Right.
West Curly's.
Right.
Tivoli's water supply issue was greatly alleviated. I mean,
Mhm.
right now we're sort of just about there. You'll remember the engineer was saying that, you know, you do want to look at additional source, but compared to the sort of crisis summers,
Right.
you know, that I remember as a kid, you know, it got a lot better at that time. So supply is not dire right now like it once was, you know, and our
Yes.
groundwater in our wells is of excellent quality. Problem is it goes through this ancient distribution network,
Distribution system.
and that's when it,
But still,
Sure, I
we
mean-
consider the Hudson River.
yeah.
Because all the communities use it, and there's no reason why you can't. There's no reason whatsoever. I have not seen anybody get sick or die from drinking Hudson River water.
Right.
So,
Yep, they do it in Rhinebeck.
so, no, I mean, you gotta keep it in mind. You're talking about leasing wells. You don't have to lease the land because you own the land. You don't have to worry about that. Here, we were talking about leasing the land, we're talking about, the ownership rights and, you know, what the heck was it?
Easements,
Pardon me?
easements,
Yeah, the easements and stuff like that.
those are just to define who is in the system.
Well, no,
It's not
it's
taxed
the
as water.
who owns that well.
No, it's not the
Yeah.
wells.
Yeah.
Well,
it is.
maybe the ballpark well, but.
No, not that well, across 9G, what you
No,
were
we
just
know
talking
who
about.
owns that, it's Altrust.
So,
Yeah, we rent them.
yeah, you rent it. They own the well, they own that land. They can shut you off.
Well, how long is your lease with them?
It's in perpetuity.
I don't know how long it is.
Is it 100 years or?
No, it's long.
All right,
Uh-oh.
long.
We can look it up. I can tell you
You
how
don't
long
need
at
to
the
look it
next board meeting, so you gotta
It's
come
not
back.
5 years, 10 years.
But it's
you
something
have
to consider, you own the
course.
property, you can turn around and put the stuff in, it's gonna cost you money, of course.
Well, great.
But you have your water.
2022, and then what, we renew it?
Why don't you look it up? Think about it.
So,
My turn.
Yes, Karen?
I just want to thank the board for hiring Mr. Fenton.
You are very welcome.
I see changes that make me very happy. And I know there's a lot of room for improvement, but at least he's made a
We've
difference.
gotten started.
Yeah.
And many thanks to him, he's doing a great job, absolutely. So, we appreciate that, Karen.
Yeah, I do too.
Good. Dave?
A while back, you spoke about letting the garbage out to private contractors. Any movement there, or?
We've had more discussions, we haven't taken any steps, but, so the idea would be, well, here's the conversation in a nutshell. We've identified a host of problems with how garbage happens in the village of Tivoli currently, right? Problem number one, you have many non-village haulers, and so you end up, they've got different garbage days, you have more trucks throughout the week, it's harder on the roads. You also have, our nice bag tag system is a pay-as-you-throw. It encourages you to produce less. Well, with all these private haulers, they have those colossal cans, 2 of them for each residence, and there's no clear garbage day, right? Because it makes it much harder for Mr. Fenton to go out and say, get your can off the street. Because you say, well, I'm with this company, it's Tuesday. I'm with that company, it's Thursday. I'm with the village, it's Tuesday. That's another problem, is those cans that proliferate.
That's
if we
easy
went-
to eliminate. You find out when Waste Management picks up, you find out when Welsh picks up. You label those cans for the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If they're on the sidewalk the next day, they're gone. They're picked up and put down at the village
Complicated.
building down there on Toppy Stickle
Right.
Boulevard.
So that would be one way to address the
And
cans,
then
certainly.
let the people come and pay to get their can back.
Another problem, that's one of them, the cans, the trucks all week, the cans everywhere. Also what it means for our staff. So 2 of our 3 workers every Tuesday are committed to garbage collection. And it's just not, guys picking up heavy bags and heaving them into the back of a truck is sort of not how garbage is done these days, right? They've got the machine, it picks it up, it dumps it. I mean, those guys have had
Right.
glass, knives, some, people put their stuff out, it gets rained on. I mean, every Tuesday, like,
Nightmare.
it's not good. As
It's
an
at
employer,
least an unsavory, if
Yeah.
not an unsafe.
it's
occupation.
unsavory to unsafe every week.
Right.
So there's another reason. And an advantage I saw is if we figure out something else, those guys are now freed up. That's 20% of their time a year that we have to do the park and this building and the sidewalks and everything else. So I see that as a huge advantage. And so the idea would be similar to, say, the Village of Rhinebeck. Does the Village of Tivoli talk to a bunch of haulers, say, we're looking to have one company haul for the whole village, we get the best price, and then we have some sort of fee that every resident, every household pays, and then you get your cans and you put them out on the same day, you bring them back the same day, it's very clear for the code enforcement officer, and your model would work, but it is
You
messy.
pay whether you use or not.
And then you pay whether you use or not, so you're gonna use the company that we got the best price from, right?
We have also not only the big guys coming in, the big companies, there's a couple
Private.
small private guys
Pickup
that go
trucks.
by with bags full on the back of their pickup truck or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, I
Hopefully
mean,
that goes away, since.
Yeah, to
so, I would like to explore that,
Investigate.
investigate that, see what it really looks like, what would be the monthly price per household.
There would be public hearings and all of that.
And, because it's a mess, and not just because of garbage, it's a mess right now.
There's no pickup
Has
on
been.
Saturdays or Sundays, I don't think. But I bet you could go around this Saturday and this Sunday, and you could probably find 25 to 30 cans still on the sidewalk or the
I know you
street.
could, because I live here too, Dave. You're absolutely right, and I think that
It's disgusting.
giving it to one entity is a way to.
Yes, I agree with
to
it.
solve that.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah. So
Well-
we'll do our investigation and we'll come back to you, because I was just talking to another gentleman yesterday, and he said, I got this great idea for you. You outsource it to one company, and I said, we've been thinking the same thing. So,
They tried that before. They've had companies come in here, pick up the garbage.
mhm.
How long ago was that?
What was that, Benny?
That was back in the 80s. That was before a lot of you people were
Was
here.
that,
Maybe it'll be
We
better
did it.
this time.
I was here in the 80s,
We
but,
did it with Red Hook, I know that.
yeah, we did it with Red Hook. I'm wondering, is that what you're
We
referring to?
had, that's what I'm saying, wait a minute now. We had private companies picking up garbage,
Mhm.
okay?
And the village wasn't doing any pickup at that time?
Right,
Okay.
okay? And then, well, you weren't here.
Picked up my
No, I
garbage
was
for
here.
45 years.
No, you weren't here at that point.
I've been here since '71.
No. No, you weren't here at that point when they were doing it. But anyways, okay, they had the private company come in,
Mhm.
and then they tried to do it with the Village of Red Hook, with this sharing
Yep.
stuff, okay?
Didn't work.
It didn't work, and then they went back to the village.
Yep.
And it went from the village to the private to Red Hook.
Yep.
Back to the village, and
So we know the history.
so,
Are
yeah,
you in
there's history
favor
there.
of, are you in favor of trying to do it, this model that we've just been talking about, or you'd rather not?
No, I'd rather stay with the village totally,
Uh-huh.
doing it. And the reason why, let me say something. Buy a used garbage truck. You know,
We did that.
okay, you can still do it. Or just use the trailer on the back of the truck where they don't have to lift. They've done that before. They'll go up and down here with a trailer hooked to the back of the pickup truck, or the dump truck,
Do that
and the
with
pickup
recycling.
truck. So,
So what's the advantage of the village
You're-
continuing to do it?
what's the advantage of it?
Yes.
Well, you'll save money, people will save money. It costs $40 a month for Welch
Right.
to pick up.
Yeah. Well, we have to do the cost analysis, because
Well,
we
you
have to
sit
look
around
at,
doing four Tuesdays, right, at $4 a piece, that's $16. Why would people wanna pay $40 when they gotta pay 16?
I don't know, but they do.
I know.
How
The,
many customers do
the
we have actually used
self-selection
Tivoli
in the
garbage?
village of Tivoli is that more people use the private haulers than
They
use
pay
the
now.
village's facilities.
to your point, they pay more anyway, we don't know why, I mean, they use them, convenience, who knows? Dave's point,
No, I tell you why.
as the number of participants in the Tivoli collection system shrinks, our system it's not as
So
robust
they
as it used
spend
to
less
be.
time.
We're getting less revenue because more and more people are switching
And
to
our
private
problem
haulers.
is we can't raise the tag rate because every time we do that, we lose more participants.
So what percentage of our residents actually use our garbage, the village garbage? Would you say about 20%?
This is a wild guess, but also a better answer to that question would be part of this analysis that we're talking about doing. I mean,
Right.
Would you say 25%?
say it's 25%, and here's another part of it. There are many, many residents who put out recycling
And don't put garbage?
and don't put out garbage, so they're not paying.
I know those people.
You still have to stop.
And so that is another weakness in the way we're doing things.
Right.
It's another problem.
But going back
So, you
to,
know, these guys are bending over 8 times and lifting, and there's not a $4 tag, there's not $12 worth of tags at that residence. That doesn't work, you know? So it's if people have left and gone to private haulers, our model has become problematic.
but the thing with the private haulers, they're taking everything. People are putting pipes and everything else in there. And
Yes,
that's going on to the garbage. You don't do that here.
that's true.
You just pick up garbage.
But I mean, look around, Vince. Fewer and fewer people are choosing to do it this way, right? They're voting with their
Yeah,
pocketbooks
because,
and they're
well, they're
getting the
going
big
because
cans.
they can get rid of stuff where they can't get rid of it here.
Yeah, because we don't have
Okay.
cleanup day.
You don't have cleanup days anymore. You used to have cleanup days.
But you know, if you do hire a service, it's not gonna be $40 a month for residents, I don't think. I think if they're gonna service the entire village, they
We're
can
gonna-
come through with a better price.
Exactly.
We're gonna compete
That's-
for a
that's
lower
the point,
price, yeah.
Because it's gonna be competitive
Right.
going for the service.
$39.
That's,
Yeah, $39.
39.
No, I just didn't.
Well,
okay.
you know, I think this is a good
Good
preliminary conversation. We don't have the
discussion, yeah.
answers yet, but we got some good questions and, you know, as we
Sorry I brought
move
that
forward.
can of worms up.
Can of worms.
Dave, I'll tell you, so I got on the board in 2011 and there were two or three things at that time that I wanted to see done in Tivoli.
That's still,
And we've done our noise problem, much improved, code enforcement happening, garbage, that was the third one, and it's still on my list. And it's 7 years later,
right
but we're
across
gonna
the
get the
street.
cans, Dave.
Those 2 cans right across the street, been there since May. They now have sumac growing all around them.
Another 2 months of the
You
bushes will
see
be
it.
all around, you won't see anything.
We all agree on the problem, and now we'll try and come back with some information and some different models about possible solutions, because it's one of the remaining.
Good.
Is
Headaches.
our zoning law concerning garbage not tight enough to
It's a
enforce
village
it?
law, I think, village
The village
code.
law?
It's antiquated and needs updating.
Because I think it states something about in there buying bags.
Exactly. And some other things, so. There is a code dimension to the problem.
Not tags, bags.
Yeah. Other comments?
No.
Thank you all for coming and for talking about all these things. It is
Yeah.
helpful to us
Yeah.
and lets us know what
It's
our
great.
agenda should be and what we need to think about. And it is very difficult doing this without you, so.
Yeah, it's exciting to have 4 public.
How's the bridge coming? Is-
Supposedly this week, they're actually gonna be removing the deck itself throughout the week, so keep an eye on it. I know there were some wrinkles relocating the water and sewer infrastructure off of that. They've gotten that done now, so they can get it taken down.
You can't walk
And I
across.
believe the county executive is coming sometime this week for an inspection and perhaps a photograph, so.
I'm sure,
He was up the other night, saw him across the street.
predict.
So you expect the bridge to be open at when?
Ooh, I'm not gonna say that.
September 18th is the date that the county has given us.
September 18th?
Is
Can we
that a
hold it
recent,
to that?
is that a recent date that have they said it, or is that when they started?
That's when they started.
Okay. So we'll see,
Okay.
Soon, really soon,
in the future, near
Yes.
future.
before Christmas.
Trustees, any further discussion or anything? Thank you both for giving us a quorum, appreciate it. It is 8:23, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.